Well, we recently had the Immaculate Conception of Mary, December 8th. So here we are again with another Marian feast day. So let's spend today with a new analogy for who Mary is in the whole salvation history of Jesus Christ. And the analogy of the day is the Panama Canal. Now, I get it. If I asked you to write up a list of 5,000 things that remind you of the Blessed Virgin, the Panama Canal would not be on that list. Give me a chance. Little background. Panama Canal was built in the first place because it was the ideal location to pass from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean. It's only 51 miles from start to finish. But the problem was that it was impossible to just dig the whole canal at sea level where ships could pass through it like any other river. Other man-made channels did exactly that, but under better conditions. With Panama, what they eventually did was they first made a man-made lake in the middle. And then they made a series of water locks on both ends. So the way it would work is a ship would go into a water lock, so think of it as a big bathtub. Goes into the water lock, watertight doors would close behind it, and then they'd add water and raise the water level in this big bathtub-like device, and then they'd open the doors on the other side of the water lock to another water lock on the same level. And so they'd do that 3 times, and then they'd have access to that lake that I mentioned. It's Gatton Lake is what it's called. And then they'd travel down it, and then they'd do the same thing in reverse. Water lock, lower the water level, new water lock, water level, etc., until they get back to the ocean. So in essence, they're stairs made of water. And on a good day, a ship can pass through the whole thing in about 11 hours. It is truly a modern wonder of the world, and it's certainly on my list of stuff to see one day. So with that engineering lesson out of the way, let's get into some theological reflection. How is this like salvation? Well, we are talking about a journey that is literally impossible for a ship to make without the help of those water locks. Ships do not go up waterfalls, after all. The quality or the size of the ship doesn't matter. It is fundamentally impossible. But with the water locks, the journey becomes not only possible, but actually quite easy and direct for any ship of any size or quality. The Panama Canal makes the impossible possible, and it does so cleverly by using rudimentary technology and the basic laws of physics, and ships traveling through it don't require any special equipment to make that happen. Salvation through the waters of baptism is the Panama Canal. A 14,000-mile journey around Cape Horn has a 51-mile shortcut. We are obviously the ships passing through it, and the water is life. Or more precisely, the water is our state of life. We can absolutely stay in the same place and just sail around in circles for however long, or we can go and we can progress toward our ultimate destination. But the journey of salvation is impossible on our own ability because we lack the ability to rise above our own nature, rise above our state of life. Case in point, you can work out and you can make your muscles stronger. You can't work out so much that you transcend muscles entirely and move things with your mind telepathically. That's not how exercise works. You are bound by your fundamental nature. Same thing on a spiritual level. You can't exercise your soul so much that you cease being a person and you become a god or an angel or a freaky space alien. Doesn't happen. No matter how good and pious you become, you are still a person, and sin will always be a part of you. We are all stuck at sea level. Some of you have probably guessed where I'm going with this. The Virgin Mary is the waterlock. Ignore the fact that the Panama Canal needs 6 of them. She's the waterlock. Thanks to her, the path of salvation is open for us, and by bearing the Christ child, she has raised our state of life from natural to supernatural, or if you prefer, from sin to grace. The analogy isn't perfect. Like I said a minute ago, there isn't just one waterlock. And also, if you think about it, if you go from one ocean to another, you start and end at sea level. Salvation's journey would surely end at the highest possible elevation. You basically end in outer space on that analogy. But such is the nature of analogies in the first place. They never perfectly translate the thing they're expressing. And this analogy has a big flaw in that Jesus is so vital to our salvation, he doesn't really fit anywhere in this analogy. So if you're saying that the waterlocks are more like Jesus than Mary, I respect that. But Jesus is also the canal itself. And he's the first ship to pass through it. And he's the guy that designed it in the first place. And the travel authority who controls it. Unless, of course, that's the Pope. So it's more helpful to picture Mary here because, like the waterlocks, Mary is one important part of salvation rather than the summation of the whole thing, which is what Jesus is. But that said, this is still decently educational because please consider this. Mary is not God. We honor her, we revere her as the greatest of the saints, but she is still a servant of the Lord like the rest of us. The waterlock is one small part of the canal. In terms of distance traveled, it's practically nothing. But it's an essential part of it all. The whole system can't function without those waterlocks. And most importantly today, the waterlocks are not strange alien technology that works on entirely different scientific principles. They are made of the same materials as the ships. Metal, wood, maybe some concrete, I don't know. But it's the same basic stuff as the ships themselves. Mary is the same basic stuff as the rest of us. Flesh and blood, matter and form. But thanks to her special place in salvation history, she is able to offer new possibility to the rest of us. By bearing the Christ child and welcoming him into the world, the journey of salvation opens up before the rest of us. And that is a true spiritual wonder of the world. And although it is the narrow way, it is paradoxically still wide enough for everyone to travel through it.